Hi, hello, and how are you? That's right, ladies and gentlemen, that Rockwell timepiece says it's time. So come on in and stay a while. It's time to get coached up with another edition of the Coach Scott Field Show. I continue to be a Rockwell ambassador, and I'm a proud partner to be with the Rockwell brand. If you go to rockwelltime.com and use the code COACH20, you will receive a 20% discount off of any item of merchandise there at that website. They've got fantastic looking watches. They have the backpacks. They have the hats. They have the glasses. I'm going to tell you what, it's just classy stuff when just a quality brand. So I'm continued to, partner with them. Like and follow our Coach Scott Field Show on Facebook. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that little bell, and that will also let you receive a notification when we upload new content. If you're listening to us in podcast form, Coach and I say turn that knob up. We're going old school. We're going to put that flavor in your ear. If you're watching us on DBTV, a sincere thank you for that network for allowing me the opportunity to play our original content. You can see us Monday through Fridays and Saturday afternoon, where we're seen in over 300 million households around the globe. And thank you to those 350,000 loyal viewers that we have on a daily basis. You could be watching us on CSTV Wednesdays at 7 p.m., or you might be checking us out on the Rewind Sports 60. I appreciate your continued support. This man today has been an icon. He's been a legend. He's too humble to tell you, so I have to tell you. The gentleman, I did my research, Coach. I
Yeah.
so impressed with what you've done. The first African American coach to win over 500 victories in the state of Indiana, which makes it so special. 40 years in coaching, 13 sectional championships, 9 regional championships, 5 semi-state championships, and then he won a state championship back in 2001. Coach Al Gooden, welcome to the show, my friend, and it's just a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate being on that.
Yeah, I have a good buddy that I played high school ball with at Lewis Cass, uh, Coach Mark Fiddler, and he's like, you got to get Al Gooden on. He's an amazing man. He's had all these accomplishments. He said, but you're going to find he's just a better person. And I said, that's my kind of guy. Let's get him on.
And Mark Field is a great guy. We talked together for maybe 10 years in Fort Wayne, and he's a great guy.
Yes, he is. Great person. Coach, wow. You played at Fort Wayne Wayne, the Generals. Is that where the passion of the game was instilled to you? Or tell us about those Fort Wayne roots that made you and molded you into the high character man that you are sitting in front of us today.
Well, high school's a big impression on a lot of players and stuff like that. Yes, it's where I got all my roots from because, you tend to coach like you've been coached. And my high school coach, Will Dorman's a humble man, and he did a great job with us, bringing us along and schooling us on the life of basketball.
Tell us tell us about how the family environment that you grew up in also molded and shaped you.
Well, I'm one of 12 kids. My mother, was 12 of 4 boys and 8 girls, and my older brother, he played some basketball. I think I'm the only one that excelled in basketball.
12 kids. I mean, that had to probably instill some competition. You probably had to race to the table to make sure that you got you a French fry. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, at times it was that way, but my mother did a great job. Made sure we all had what we needed and everything. And, the competition came outside playing. In some of the things we do and stuff like that.
I love that. Can you think back to the time when like maybe you first grabbed a basketball, or when was it that basketball became a part of your DNA and became a part of your core to where you knew that this is what you wanted to do with the rest of your adult life?
It happened back in the sixth grade. We were playing some basketball, and I enjoyed playing with all my friends and stuff. And when we became seventh graders in junior high, I tried out for the team, but I didn't make the team. So all my friends made it, and that's instilled that competitiveness that I wanted to be on the team. So it came back the next year. Hey, I made the team. Not only did I make the team, I was one of the starter of the team. And
Man.
it went on from there, and I've been playing ever since.
And see, Coach, I love hearing that because you could have quit, but yet you persevered. You probably worked harder. You were probably had a little chip on your shoulder and you wanted to prove that you could play the game and be a part of the team. What was that part of your drive when you were cut and didn't make the team that kind of instilled that passion or threw a little gas on the fire?
Yes, it was, but and the coach telling me what I need to work on and stuff like that. I guess I wasn't a very good shooter and stuff like that. Now I was kind of clumsy and clumsy at the time, and a little chubby also during those years. But that's what I work on. Between those years, I did grow some inches and lose some of that baby fat, and I was able to excel from then on.
We were blessed. We were able to play high school basketball when there was no classification. And there was something truly special and unique about that with Indiana basketball. And for people who never experienced that, it's hard to explain it. Do you feel that playing in no classification basketball was something that helped you develop, or you just see it as, hey, that's just how I grew up, that's all I knew?
Absolutely, I think it has something to do with it, but a lot has to do with what the kids do outside. The time they playing basketball on the team and stuff like that. How hard they work and how much time they went willing to put into playing in a single class. I think is great. I don't want to knock class basketball because I understand it gives more kids a chance to be champion and everything like that. But it's nothing like that single class basketball. I tell you that. And when you're the best, you are the best.
Amen to that. I think when they show the movie Hoosiers, it makes me automatically reflect and look back at how special basketball was, because a tiny little country school could play a large city school and vice versa. And I mean, communities would close down to support basketball. And I think that's something special because you may have, you've got football that's real big in Texas. You got baseball that's big down in Florida, but Indiana basketball, there's just something unique about that. And it's almost, I don't want to say religion, but it's just, it becomes a part of you where your community stands behind you and supports your team, where the barber shop closes, the cafeterias close down, everybody's supporting the team. And there's a true sense of community in that.
You're true. You're true about that. In those small towns and stuff like that. Even some of these big towns. Because when I came down here to Indianapolis, it's that tradition from growing up from elementary school, junior high, to high school. Hey, everybody got their name on. Let's say Bears with Lawrence Central Bear. So that built that community togetherness and everything like that. And yes, it is, and I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have one? And of course, I know there have to be thousands of memories flooding, but do you have one memory when you were a high school player that stands out on top of any other memory at when you were playing it at Fort Wayne Wayne?
Yes, the very first SAC basketball holiday tournament, hey, I got a chance to play in, and we won the very first one, and that was great. We played Bishop DeWinger,
Oh,
and it was a battle, but we had seed and we ended up winning the holiday tournament, the very first one.
wow. That's special. It kind of gives me chills to hear you
Yeah,
share that story. Because when you're on the floor and competing, and when you can have success with your team and your teammates, your brothers who are a unique fraternity, and you've been able to mold a lot of young men and impact lives. But to hear you share that story, it sounds like it was just yesterday.
it sounded like it was just yesterday. A friend of mine, Roosevelt Barnes, is a good friend of mine, also one of
Oh,
my teammates. And we share that a lot. We talk a lot, and we still communicate with each other. And, you know, we bring back them good old days when we played.
That's right. That's right. Well, and then of course you were able to go off and you played at Ball State University, Coach Steve Yoder, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Take us through, because I mean, everything's so digital now. We have all this technology, and they have, you know, grassroots basketball is just different. What was your recruitment process like to go from Fort Wayne down to Muncie and play for play for Ball State University and Coach Yoder?
You know, and like you say, everything is so digital now and everything. But back in the days when I played, you know, they used to come to practice and sit down through practice and stuff like that. They used to come to games and sit down through games, you know, and they talk to you and let you know they're interested in stuff like that. They still send you a letter and everything, outlining what they like about you and everything, and how you can fit into their basketball program. And then at the end of the season, they will invite you down. Yeah, and they let you know where they stand. You're on this list. You number 1 on our recruiting list or number 2 on our recruiting list, you know, and they give you the ultimate, if you want to come, yeah, we're going to take you. If not, you need to let us know as soon as possible. You know, those
Right.
are the good old days.
Yeah, that's right. When you made that visit down to Muncie, did you know right away that was the place for you, or were you trying to decide which university you wanted to attend?
No, I want to go to Purdue. You know, Walter
Ah,
Jordan played at Purdue. Eugene Parker played at Purdue. Roosevelt Barnes was, you know, my best friend was going to Purdue. Hey, I want to go to Purdue. You know, but one of the coaches said, no, there was someone better than I was that they felt they needed to do a couple of things better than I did. And his name was Mike Drews. And you know what? He ended up going to Ball State too.
oh, there you go. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. Walter Jordan was a guest on our show about a year ago. He hit me up when I promoted that you were coming on the show, and he said I was supposed to ask you. He says he still calls you the 60 percenter.
Yeah,
what,
yeah,
what does that mean?
70% because I my field goal percentage through high school was 70%, you know, so I was a decent shooter, you know, and that's one of the things when I got cut, the coach said I need to work on. And I put a lot of time into shooting. And I shot 75% one year from the floor, 71%. That's why he called me 70%er all the
I,
time.
oh, man, that I tell you, when as a coach, when I hear 70%, 75%, I think proficiency and efficiency. That's getting it done. That's getting the ball to you and letting you finish.
You're right. Well, you know, I say now I played with Roosevelt Barnes a lot, and Rose do a lot of shooting, you know, and I'm smart enough to go opposite of Rose. So when he's shooting and miss, hey, boom, I can get a rebound, put it in. You
There
know,
you
that's
go.
enough that shooting percentage.
And that's I love it. Great story right there. And thanks for Walter Jordan for chiming in. I'm sure he's going to be watching this, so it's great to kind of kind of share that. Um, Coach Steve Yoder, you were able to play with him for him at Ball State. You're a Cardinal down there. What life lessons did he teach you? Because you talked about your high school coach earlier. Um, were there life lessons that Coach Yoder instilled in you? Because the old heads, when we're coaching, I mean, it was a lot of transparency. There was no fluff, and players appreciate that. But what did he teach you that still resonates with you?
Well, Coach Yoder was not a big guy. He was a smaller guy, and he always talking about toughness and staying mentally tough. You know, and I do that with my team a whole lot too, because I remember those things and stuff like that. And I think that was got us all the time. You know, at Ball State, we was the first team to win 20 games. We were the first team to win the MAC tournament. We was the first team to go to the NCAA tournament, which under Coach Yoder. And that mental toughness that he talked about all the time, you know, that was key and being tough and playing tough. You know, that was one of the things I remember from Coach Yoder.
I love that. Drop some names of some of those Ball State teammates. Was that in the McCallum eras?
Yeah, Ray McCollum played. There was our starting guard, Jeff Williams from Locustburg around your area.
The
You know,
Berries, yeah.
yeah, was one of our other starting guards. John Williams that played at Richmond. Steve Murrow that played at East Chicago that went back to back to the state final. You know, played with us. We had a pretty good team. Pete Irvin from Fort Wayne played on that team. Mm.
Wow. I love to hear. I mean, because I mean, you know exactly what high school team they played for. I mean, you guys had a brotherhood there, and it sounds like you know that culture as a coach. You had that family culture. You taught that mental toughness. You taught them about discipline and hard work, and obviously it was a reflection of you, and you were inflecting your will on all those teams. But 40 years coaching high school basketball, and to me, and I know I'm biased because I grew up and played there, but to have 40-year career in the state of Indiana, now that you're retired, what are you going to miss most, do you think? Or has it hit you yet?
It really haven't hit me yet, but looking back and thinking like that, these last couple of weeks I had, knowing that I'm retired, but I look at the kids and I see the kids walking in the hall. I think I'm gonna miss the kid. Just know that camaraderie being around them and stuff like that. I think I'm gonna miss the competition of the games and stuff. Watching the game and competing in the game and the practices. I think because we had some good practices,
Yeah,
so I'm gonna miss all of that.
and see, and I'm going to agree with you because I'm sure when there starts to get that little fall crisp in the air and football season's winding down, and it's time where for years. I mean, let's talk about it. 40 years, you start to amp up, and you're starting to get your preseason workouts in, and you're having these open gyms, and you're evaluating talent. That's probably when you're going to miss it the most because all of a sudden it's no longer there. Now you've earned your stripes, you've earned your time to relax and enjoy, but I'm sure there's a part of your soul that is going to be like a little bit of a donut. There's going to be a hole in the center.
Yeah, for me, when the school year starts, we work through the summer now, then, but we get them 2 weeks off. But when I see the kids walking the hall doing all this and stuff like that, so, that's when I get, okay, I'm ready to start. And I tell them, hey, I'm ready to start. And usually they tell me, yeah, we ready to start too. So, we
Awesome.
get started. But, I think, maybe doing something else, go play golf or something like that, go watch my grandson play football and stuff like that. I think that'll help out, some of the things keeping me from missing it so much.
Right. I I just think that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like as an athlete, it's nice to know that you're moving towards coaching because it's hard for some athletes to stop their career because it feels like almost a death. And then all of a sudden, when you coach all those years and then you're no longer coaching, there's still that void in your life. And I always told myself the same thing. I thought, well, I'll pick up golf or I'll go fishing. I don't think I can fish enough to fill that void.
Yeah, that's true. But I think being a high school athlete and a college athlete and moving on from there, I think that would help me also because I'm used to I know what's going to happen next.
That's right.
I did. I think quit playing college basketball. I played one of them industrial leagues. Boy, I quit playing when I was 50 years old. I played in there for a long time. And I understand, hey, there's a time when you have to stop doing it. You just have to, it's time. And
Did,
that's how
did,
I feel right now. It's time.
and see, and I think it's refreshing to hear because you knew it kind of like Michael Jordan. I mean, he coming to the twilight of his career. Yeah, his ego says, I can continue to play and I can continue to put up numbers. When did you know in your heart that what it's time to pass the whistle on and let these young kids kind of take over the game? Was there a time or a moment or after a game where you're just like, what, I just I don't have that same passion or drive?
No, it wasn't the passion to drive. I talked to you about practice and everything like that. I have a certain thing. I have a uniform code. Hey, you got to be here practice this time. You got to dress this way. Line up at 4 o'clock so we can get practice started. You have to do that. No, that's my standard. And when I found myself breaking my standards, for kids to come practice, then when I say hey, it's time for me to move on, because the kids
Wow.
now are different. You
And
know,
see, I love hearing that because I'm hearing you talk about the core values of what your program was going to be about and the culture that you were going to set. Because what they may not be picking up in AAU basketball, you're preparing them for if the next level, if that's the choice they want to make, or you're going to prepare them for life to be community leaders. And I love that discipline because I was out here with Coach Jerry Sloan for 2 years. And I'm going to tell you what, Your shirt had to be tucked in, your socks had to be pulled up, you had to be, clean cut and shaven, and there was no, the tail was not going to wag the dog. And that was
Right.
so refreshing. And that's kind of the same thing I'm hearing from you, coach, that you know what? There's an expectation and there's a demand, and you're going to meet that demand, and we're not going to, it's non-negotiable.
Right. You always say it's bigger than basketball. It is. So we try to talk life into them because, you know, me, as good as an athlete as I was a basketball player, my academic and my standards and my character last a whole lot longer than my basketball ability. So that's why I'm trying to get them to learn and understand that yeah, you're a good basketball player, but one day it's gonna come to an end. Then what you gonna do?
I like
What you
that's
do?
that's real talk right there, coach. I mean, I look back at those accolades that we mentioned in the intro. 13 sectional championships, 9 regional championships, 5 semi-state championships, and a state championship. That first sectional championship that you won as a coach, what do you remember most about that team and that unit?
Well, I'm gonna go back the year before, and we played at Belmont in the sectional like that, and we got beat in the section championship game. But the good thing about it, I had all my guys coming back, and I can sit there and watch them guys cry, because they thought they could win it. But the next year we came back and they played much, much harder and was a focus with those guys, and they went out and did it. And they,
Wow.
yes,
That's special. I mean, it sounds to me like from your lens and your perspective, you were able to teach from adversity and say, fellas, this is like life. Sometimes it's not going to go the way you plan, but you have to get up, dust yourself off, you know, pay attention to those specific details where we're deficient this year. We're going to get better at it. We're going to come back and win this thing next year, which puts a hunger in your team. And that's kind of what I'm hearing from your story.
yeah. And we on and that good thing about it, we only had one senior that year with
Wow.
Jamal Johnson, and unfortunately he was a great leader.
Wow.
We can depend on him.
Love hearing that. And I, again, I'm looking at all these things, and then I'm reading, of some of the names of the players that you were blessed to coach. Because I'm the first to tell you, great players make great coaches out of us in a hurry.
Yeah.
And so,
If you don't have the horses, you can't run in the race.
amen, amen. So I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, I did this and it's like, oh, wait a minute, put your ego in check here a little bit. Yeah, they
True.
had some talent. Now you were able to guide and manage that talent and showcase that talent, but yet, you know what? It took the effort of those young men. And I think the mistake a lot of coaches make, especially some of these younger guys, they have a philosophy and a system, and it's like it's my way or the highway. And I know that seems kind of old school, and there's a lot of truth to that.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
coaches who are able to adapt to the talent that they have are going to be more successful, and the great coaches make it about the players and not about themselves.
Hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. At the end of practice, ever since I've been coaching, I always have a team talk where I sit my guys down and I talk, and that time I try to pound my philosophy into their head and everything like that. And I tell them all the time, hey, as great as a basketball player, I cannot do it now. I need you. I need you to do what I ask you to do, translate that onto the court, play the way I ask you to do. Say, I need you. Is that what you wanted to hear? I'm gonna tell you that again. I need you. I try to get them to understand that I need them to do
Wow.
what I need, ask them to do.
Coach, see, that's powerful, because when I hear you describe that, coaches need to be effective communicator. Yes, they need to sell and get the players to buy into their philosophy and style, but you're identifying roles and you know what those players must accomplish to have, the positive outcomes to obtain the goals of the team for that year. So I think your ability to communicate, your ability to teach, your ability to hold the players accountable and challenge them, that's where the secret sauce is. It's not about some fancy, X and O that you picked up from a coaching
Mm-hmm.
clinic. It's about knowing your players, knowing what they do well, and allowing them to do what they do well, and set the system for that individual.
Right. We call it KYP, know your personnel. You
There
know,
you
and,
go.
and that culture is so key. You can't beat culture. And I tell them all the time, hey, when somebody come in and watch us, what are they going to see? And that's your culture right there. And they've been pretty good about it.
I can hear that in your stories. If if somebody who's never been around the game of basketball, they come in and watch your teams play, we're talking culture right now, but what
Mhm.
was your team's identity? What were your teams known for throughout the state when anybody would come and see Coach Gooden's teams play?
Hard work and discipline and playing tough. And I build a lot on defense and rebound because I think you play good defense and rebound the basketball, you're always gonna be in the basketball game.
That's right.
And I try to build that into the kid and get them to understand that. I like that hard work and I like that discipline and playing hard and tough.
See, Coach, man, that's music to my ears because let's be honest, we've been around this game, multiple years. Some nights the shots just won't fall. Sometimes you're in an environment where the players just aren't as comfortable,
Sure.
but that defense will travel, that toughness will travel, and that intensity will always travel, which will give yourself a chance to, win a game on the road in a hostile environment. But I love what you're saying because there's so much gold to that wisdom and expertise that you're sharing with us.
Right. Defensive rebound always travel with you because it don't take any skill to do that. Just take a little bit of heart. You
Woo!
know, it's always travel with you.
Coach, preach, man. You're preaching now. I love that. Um, with my research, I also found I love the fact that you were able to not only coach your son, but your son was able to be on your staff, and then you got to coach your grandson. How special was it for you to be able to look and see generations in that torch being passed? I can't imagine a coach's soul being more complete to say, here's 3 generations of life lessons that we're teaching. What did that mean to you to be able to coach your son and your grandson? Because to me, that's special, friend.
But it was great coaching my son. And I moved into the area where Harlan High School is. Just so my son can go to high school. I can't see myself competing against my son. Just like I had my grandson come over to Lawrence Central. I can't see myself competing against my grandson. You like for them to succeed, but you like them to become great person also. And my son is on my staff, and he know basketball. Ever since he was a little boy, he been in the gym. My grandson, ever since he was a little boy, he been in the gym with me and everything like that. So they understand the game. And having a chance to coach my son, then coaching my grandson this year was great. And I think I get more enjoyment because I think it's a lot of pressure on my grandson, having his granddad and seeing everything that his granddad did and everything like that. And it's a lot of pressure on him. I think I would enjoy it more. And I think he will enjoy it more as I'm just sitting in the stand watching. And if he want to ask me something, he can come ask me something. I went to one of his AAU game a couple of weeks ago, and first thing out, I'm at the game, so he understand that he see me, and he understand that I love him and everything like that, and then we both enjoyed the game.
Oh man, I hear that and it fills me up, Coach, because we just had our first granddaughter, and I
Mm.
look at this little girl and I pick her up, and everything goes away for me. So to think that you had a chance to share your purpose and share your passion and teach these life lessons to your grandson. I don't think there can be. I mean, yeah, you won 500 games, over 500 games, but to
Mhm.
coach your grandson, man, my heart is full for you. I love that. To me, that's the perfect scenario.
Yeah, we talked, after I announced my retirement, I talked to him and told him, hey, I had a blast coaching you. That was great. There's not too many people that can say they coach their son and grandson, and coaching you, this one year, just coaching my grandson was a blast. Just to
Man,
see how he reacted and everything like that. And we
yeah.
had a great time.
And with your son being on your staff, him being able to share ideas right there
Mhm.
with you, because he knows the game, and he might be seeing something that you could be overlooking because you're trying to focus on something else. So
Yeah,
to
true.
have that interaction, coaching's all about relationships, but when you've got
Yeah.
family involved like that, ooh wee.
Yes, yes, the truth. Yeah. It's important because I know when my son plays and stuff like that, after the game, we'll go out and, get something to eat and stuff like that. And we won't talk basketball.
Yeah.
We just talk about anything. If you want to ask me a basketball question, we will. We'll talk about it. The same way with my grandson. We won't talk basketball unless he want to.
Yeah. See, I love that because you're able to leave basketball as basketball. Hey,
Hmm.
this is grandpa time now. This is dad time now. This is family. And
Yeah.
that's a hard switch to flip when you're so competitive. But I can respect the
Hmm.
fact that you were able to leave it alone and let, yeah, if they want to talk it, yeah, I'm here to answer questions for you. But you know what? That's just basketball.
Right. Yeah, that's just basketball. Being a grandfather is more and more important to me.
Oh
Than,
man, I can tell by the type of character that you have, just by feeling your energy and having your aura. These players that you've coached throughout the years, I'm sure they continue to stay in touch with you, and you follow their careers, and you see them being husbands, and you see them being business leaders, and you see them, maybe getting into coaching. What does that mean to you to look at your coaching tree and know that you've impacted so many lives and you've impacted so many communities in a positive way? And maybe that's hard for you to still put into words yet, but has it kind of hit you that the number of lives that you've impacted through this game?
yeah, it always have, and the good thing about me, what I like best is when they bring their sons back to practice and stuff like that, and they sit down and watch stuff like that. Oh, we used to have it hardly that. Don't like no coach used to make us work hard. No, and this is the same thing they used to do. And they still their sons and stay and get to meet their sons, go to their wedding and stuff like that. David Tubbs, who played on my state championship team, son had brain cancer. And that's one of the things I get to do. He brought them notes to practice and stuff. I can talk to him, and give him a little shirt and stuff like that. Tell him how great his dad was. That's what's good about it. Just for them to bring their kids back. Bring their daughter back to practice and just let us see us practice. And tell me, hey, that's my high school coach and stuff like that. And that's
Oh,
great.
man, I love hearing these things. And your wife Felicia, 40 years of marriage. Talk about what it meant to you to have her as your rock by your side through all these years, because coaching is up and down and you're so emotionally invested. What did that mean to you? Because I'm gonna tell you what, that she deserves an award too, because we coaches, that's a lot of time and commitment. So talk about that relationship with your wife.
Yeah, being a coach's wife is tough. Watching my wife for the first 20 years, she was my film person also. So she filmed all the games and stuff like that. So, she was part of the coaching and everything like that. And she have opinions sometimes. And I have to tell her, hey, turn the mic down when you film it, because I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I mean, it was just a family affair from the get-go. And it sounds to
Yes.
me, I read a story, and I think she played intramural ball in college, right? And she was, played high school ball. So did she know, like, uh-oh, this is it, this is basketball, this is my husband, I know we're going to be in this, for as long as, as long as we're around.
No, I think she knew what she signed up for when we got married.
uh,
Yeah.
I love that, because it takes a special woman who is just as committed. Do you think she's going to miss it now that you're kind of stepping away, or is she ready to just be grandma and just, hey, I get to finally spend quality time with my husband?
Yeah, I think so. All the stuff she planned trips already and stuff like that. So
Oh,
you know,
oh, that's
I need
fun.
some time just to sit back and relax and do nothing. That's what I want to do
There
for a
you
while.
go. Good for you. You've earned it. I mean, I know there has to be millions of memories through all those years. But take us to your state championship, 2001. Take us through watching those kids cut down the net. Take us through hoisting that IHSAA trophy and what it meant to you for your players.
You know, you hear this cliche all the time. They say it's the journey that you enjoy the most. And no, that's what I remember the most. It's the journey getting there to that championship. You know, and we played some tough teams. As a matter of fact, we played your lower class team in the
Okay.
regional. And they
Yeah.
came in 20, they was 25-0. You know, they had won every game, you know, and Coach Marble had that matchup zone and stuff like that, you know, and that was a great game for us. You know,
Wow.
it was just single game, one single game that day, you know. And then all the game before then at the sectional championship, even though playing in the holiday tournament, Trey Essen, who's our center, he had to leave and go play in the All-American football game, you know, and they gave some of the younger kids time to grow up, you know, and play in some tough games like that. And I think they help us down the stretch also. And like it's the journey that you remember the most. You know,
See,
not only winning state championship, it's the journey getting there.
was there ever a time where that group was really tested and you're like, hey guys, we're gonna grow from this experience, we're gonna get better, or was it just all along our goal is to win the state championship and nothing else is going to matter? I mean, was it that type of situation for you with that state team?
No, yeah, we wanted to win the state championship. You know, the year before we lost in the semi-state to Westview, but you know, we lost 3 games that year. You know, the winner beat us in the holiday tournament that year. You know, and we came back and beat them during the regular season, which is all right. We lost another game to I think maybe Southside, you know, and we came back and won, you know, through the section and everything like that. You know, we played some good team. You know, it was some battle. It's some games that tested us. You know, and with that being said, I never ever wanted to go to a tournament undefeated because there's too much pressure on them kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and see,
because they know that their first loss can be their last loss for the year.
that's
I
right.
want them to lose a couple games.
Yeah, because what I hear you saying, it's how your team responded after those losses. There was
Mm-hmm.
resiliency there. There was that grit, that grind and toughness that we've already
Mm-hmm.
covered. But take us into the locker room. You guys lose to Dwinger. What was your message to the team that night?
Well, you know, to keep the head in, like you say, it's the grind. You know, we didn't expect to go undefeated that year anyway. You know what you learned, that you said before. You know how you gonna come back and play the next game. How you gonna come back the next day and practice and practice. You know that's what make a championship team. And those kids, you know, Trey Edson was such a great leader. You know, and that was part of the thing he brought to the table. He was a good leader, and he kept us on task.
Yeah, and see, you talking about him, he ends up going and winning a couple Super Bowls. So, I mean, talk about that. It sounds like to me you had him well prepared for that journey mentally, physically, spiritually. Because I'm gonna tell you what, I mean, that's a whole nother level. You know, hoisting that Super Bowl trophy a couple times.
Right. Trey had 2 Super Bowl rings, you know,
Wow,
playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he tell me that was a great thing. But he said the most thing I remember is winning that state championship. Yeah, he
man.
said he said that's the best thing he remembered.
Now,
And which is good. You know,
now,
and
did you have Trey come back and flash those Super Bowl rings and talk to your teams in the future? Because I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, that's a walking testimony right now, what hard work's all about.
I sure did. Absolutely. Yeah. He came back and he bought the Super Bowl ring back in the case. You know, it's a big normal foot case in the big ring. It's a humongous ring. Yeah.
Wow. That
Yes, he came back to practice.
love that. And love that. And talking about other champions you've had, I mean, you got to coach, you know, Kyle Guy, who goes and plays for a friend of mine, Coach Tony Bennett, and wins a championship at UVA. I mean, Kyle, he can shoot that thing now.
Kyle is an incredibly gifted athlete. They people don't they see little skinny Kyle guy, but Kyle is a gifted athlete. He do some great things, and he's the most complete offensive basketball player that I had. We're playing the Sectional Championship game, and he run through the lane, shoot a running hook shot. Hey, that kid, hey, he can make buckets. He can
That's right.
get buckets from and
That's right.
and he's so humble. He enjoy giving the ball and passing somebody score. He enjoy that.
Let's expand on that. A kid who, at perception, you see a thin Caucasian boy can shoot it. But from a coach's perspective, let's educate the viewers here. What did he do, the unseen hours of repetition and practice to get muscle memory? Talk about some of those things that you saw Kyle do to prepare for games to help him be able to perform that way when the lights were on.
Yeah, I think he's spending a lot of time with. Unlike when we was coming up through, like these kids now, they have workout coaches, so they get the coaching. And then Kyle had coach where he come in and he gets shots with the coaching and ball handler. I sit there and watch him do it, stuff like that. And it was great that the coach is not doing anything different, against what we do and things like that. He said, "You got to put that into us, what we do." And Kyle did that. And Kyle was a great person. He's a great leader. He was a good person.
See, I love that. And I'm hearing the same theme over and over, high character. And that's you, coach. I mean, you won't want to take that credit, but allow me to give you your flowers, because when a Kyle guy who's a high character man, coached by a Coach Al Gooden, who's a high character man, who chooses to go to the University of Virginia, plays for a Tony Bennett, who's a high character core value coach, there's a reason and a pattern there, and you helped lay that foundation for Kyle. And I'm sure it was an easier choice for him because he was, I don't want to say he was spoiled by you and your high character and your ability to teach, but I'm sure it had to be a smoother transition to be like, you know what, it's a natural progression for me to play for a Coach Tony Bennett that's high
Yeah,
character.
yeah. I just fuss at Kyle a lot. Hey, Kyle, you gotta get better on defense. You going to play for a defensive-minded coach, Kyle? Yeah, what you think? Yeah, you got to get yourself together.
Yeah.
And it's the same with B.J. Beecham that went to Notre Dame and played at Notre Dame. B.J.'s a good person, and both of those guys, and all the rest of them, they let me be coach. They let me coach them. And whatever I asked them to do, that's what they did. So, I was their coach. They let me coach them.
Let's be honest, coach. That's a skill to be coachable and to be an active listener and accept the coaching. Some kids today's have that entitlement and they don't want to hear it because they're getting voices or white noise from the outside that doesn't allow them to be coached. So
Right.
let's talk about that for a minute, because to me, to be able to be coachable and be willing to learn and grow and evolve is special. Talk about those skills.
Right. And this, I told you about having my team talk when they sit down. And that's one of the things that I talk to them about. You got to learn to be coachable. If you're going to be a good leader, you need to learn how to be led. And to be a good leader, you got to understand the concept, what you need to do to be a good leader. And you learn that from watching other leader and being led. And they was able to accept that.
And I love that. Who did you learn that from? Who did you pick that up from to where that olive branch extended to them? Because you had to pick it up somewhere, or did you learn it as you got into coaching, going to camps, clinics, networking? Because we coaches, we're pirates. We steal from what's successful from somebody else. But where did you pick that up from?
Yeah. I'm a big B fan. No, I still a whole lot. Like I told you, like Walter Jordan and Eugene Parker that played for Purdue, Mike Muff, all the guys, they come back in the summertime, and they teach us. And like, okay, we do this in college right there. This how guys is there to weight training. Oh yeah, we lift all the time. You need to do this and that. Or you got to practice 3 times a day. And those guys are the ones that led us. They was good leaders, and we were able to follow along and listen to them and learn from those guys.
Yeah, love that. Now, and again, coach, you and I know this, but again, let's educate viewers and listeners. There's different types of leadership. There's the vocal leadership and there's the
Mm-hmm.
leader by example. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you've had both. But in your mind, I mean, this is 525 wins talking now. Which did you prefer? Did you prefer more of the vocal leader or the leader by example?
I take both. One. And to give you a good example, my 2018-19, Dre Davis and Nigel Pack. Dre Davis vocal. Dre talk. Dre, if you're not in practice doing with it, Dre will let you know. All right. Nigel Pack is lead by example. Nigel come out and work. He come out, he wins sprint and work like that. And they meshed together, and we had a great team. We had both of those types of leaders on the team.
Yeah.
It was good.
Let me segue, because to me, and I know you're going to feel the same, communication is vital. Communication to your point guard, because he's the extension of the coach, so he knows exactly what you want. Communication on defense, where we're talking, where we're shifting, where we're rotating. Talk about how important it is to be able to effectively communicate on the court with each other, so that way, if in case their head gets turned, they can hear somebody saying, hey, screen coming, we're going blue, we're going ice, hey, shift, rotate, I need help. Talk about how important it is to be able to talk on the coach, because just like in life with your wife, I can't read her mind, but if she effectively communicates, tells me I need, I want, I like, then we can get it. Talk about how important communication is on the court.
Well, true. Communicate is very important on the court. And then let's go back to the end of practice again. Having sitting down with that team talk. Everything like that. We talk what we want to do and everything, what we want to be about and everything, how we're going to handle this game. What we're going to do, what we want to run and everything like that. And your guards is listen. And we run through practice, no repetition through practice, and that's important. Again, at the end of practice, I get to prime my philosophy into their head and everything, what we want to get done and what we're going to try to do. And then they take it out on the court and lead it.
There you go. I like that. Thanks, Coach. And I heard you earlier say that your wife did a lot of the recording. Kids today are so visual because of all the technology nowadays. Were you able to adapt and utilize that technology? Because video doesn't lie. Now, they can hear us forever talking and saying, hey, you need to box out, or hey, you need to be, over on the nail, you need to rotate. So again, we're talking, but when they see it, because they're on their phones, they're on their computers, they're on their iPads. Do you feel that with the progression of technology, that's a great coaching tool to use because players are so visual in today's world?
Yeah, it is. But sometimes they're using that digital part of they look at the highlights, they look at the dunk, they look at the behind the back pass, they look at the move. They're not looking at it like you said, the block out, the help on defense, the great pass that he made from to hit the shot or get the dunk, or the screen that they set. Right. And sometimes you have to go back and point that out. As good as the shot, the big shot that he made to win the game, the pass was great right there on number.
I love that. I love that. And I spent a lot of time with coaching, and we share dialogue, bouncing forth. I hear a lot of people talk about they feel Sports Center kind of corrupted because the the top 10, the highlights, and everybody wants to see those highlights. But like you said, it could be the pass that leads to the pass that sets up your teammate. It could be the screen that you set. It could be the rebound and outlet, or a rim runner, a guy, forcing the defense to get back, which created the space. So there's so many intricacies and details that are important that the highlights miss.
Right. You're right. And to go along that, I always tell the guys, life on the road is tough. Playing on the road is tough. Now, if you play on the road and get tough against somebody, against a tough team, it's going to have to be something big going to have to happen. It ain't going to have to be a big shot. It can be a big rebound. It can be a block shot. It can be taking the charge. It can be a big pass, a screen from someone. I try to get them to understand that making a shot is not only big things that happen in a basketball game. You can do all the little things.
That's right. I love it. I can't believe we're almost 50 minutes into this conversation. It's like Christmas for us coaches. We're sitting here just talking basketball and it flies by.
Yes.
I know you don't like to talk about it and you're humble, and it's about your kids. but 500 career victories, the first African American coach to achieve that, and then to end with 525 victories. Has it really sunk into you yet that you were able to accomplish that, and what that means reflecting on it?
No, because when you started out coaching, you didn't start off, hey, I'm gonna win 500 games. I want to be in the top. No, you just want to give back to the game that the game gave to you. I love basketball, and basketball loved me back. So I wanted to return some of this stuff. I wanted to coach the kids to help the kids out, and doing all that stuff, helping them to be good citizens, good young men and everything like that. The winning was just gravy. You're seeing all the good kids, all of them that went to college and got degrees, all of them that got family and they supporting their family and doing the job and stuff like that. That's what counts. The 500 wins is great. Don't get me wrong. It's good to win, but it's also good to win in life.
Amen, Coach. I love that, and you talk about so many positive things, and I hear the humility in your voice. I hear the character, and again, your spirit and aura radiates through this conversation, and I'm appreciative of that, because here's a guy who's committed to high school sports and have given back to these communities, and you've had roots, and you've been able to impact hundreds of lives, and I'm jealous of that, and I think it's something that needs to be discussed more. It should be talked about more, but to hear how it affects you and those relationships with all those players. I mean, there's hundreds of players within 40 years. And Coach, I'm giving you your flowers, man. Congratulations to you. It's an honor to be in your presence and talk basketball. And I'm happy for all the things that you've accomplished, but I'm also excited for you to enjoy your golden years as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on your show. I'm looking at all the books back there. Hey, I like to read a book, at least two books in the summertime. So right now I got Mark Greenberg. I got your number. So that's the one I want to start here soon.
Nice. I love that. We've got like about a minute, 2 minutes. There's so many life lessons that the game teaches you. What's one of the lessons that you want to share with the viewers today that you hope will touch one life and affect one life? What would that life lesson be, Coach?
When you do things, try to do things the right way, because doing things right means something. Through my coaching, through my playing, my teaching, everything, I always try to do what's right, because doing what's right means something. People can talk, they can say things, but they can't say, "Hey, he did things the right way," and that's what I wanted to happen.
Coach, my brother, God bless you. Congratulations on all your success. Thank you so much for sharing, your wisdom, sharing your expertise, and sharing your knowledge to hopefully, inspire another young coach who's out there watching our show, or have a parent who's listening to say, "Wow, I want to make sure that, my coach who's going to coach my son or daughter is going to be like this guy." Thank you for sharing that with us today. I'm honored and humbled to have this time with you, and just appreciate your service leadership that you've had throughout your entire career, my friend.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm a fan of your show now, because you made this so easy. Like you said, I can't believe we went through 53 minutes. Yeah,
Hey, you,
made.
you
Hey, I'm gonna try to catch your show every week.
I
I'm watching your podcast.
I appreciate you, Coach. That means a lot to come from you and know your background. And hey, we're just a couple Indiana boys who have such a passion for this game, and we want to see the game and the lessons that we can share, touch lives. And if we're able to have this platform, God bless us for that. And thank you for your time, Coach. It's been wonderful, and super excited to be able to get this out to the network so people can see it. But also, you know what? Let's get the links out. Let's share it with family. Let's share it with friends. Let's share it with former players. And hopefully it's going to trigger some wonderful memories of lives that you impacted, my friend.
Okay, true. That's good. I appreciate that. I send that link out.
You got it, Coach. God bless you, my friend. God bless your family. Give your wife a hug for me. She deserves a trophy herself. And just continue the great work, because I know just because you hung up the whistle, you will continue to impact lives and help young men grow and evolve, and women.
Yes, I'm sure I will. I'll be around somewhere doing some basketball somewhere.
But get out there and enjoy that golf course too. And if you ever want to come out to Utah, brother, you got a place to stay. We can go out and do some fishing and some hiking, and get out in God's country a
Yeah.
little bit.
It's a guy there, Byron Wilson.
Buyer, yeah.
Yeah, his now I met him a couple of times. His brother played college basketball with me. His brother was our AD at Harding High School in our
Okay.
city. So I got to know, hey, he's talking about, and his brother talking about going out there to play golf. So yeah, I might end up out there one day.
Hey, you better call me up. You got a place to stay, and my wife's a pretty good cook. So if
Oh,
not, I'll get out there and barbecue. We'll do it right, brother.
I'm with you.
God bless you, Coach. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Al Gooden, 525 career wins, IHSAA state champion, but just a Hall of Fame human being. God bless you, Coach. Thank you for being on the Coach Scott Field Show. God bless you.
Thanks, Scott, for having me on. I appreciate it.